Today, we're talking about something that affects almost every woman at some point, and that's navigating social and cultural food pressures. Because nutrition doesn't happen in a vacuum, it happens at family dinners, at girls' nights, baby showers, weddings, holidays, church events, office parties, and we even see it all over social media. These environments shape how we think about food, how we think about our bodies, and sometimes even how we think about our worth. You can feel really confident in your habits on your own, and then one dinner conversation or one Instagram scroll later, you're questioning everything. So, today we're going to talk about how you can stay grounded in your own values and your health goals while still fully participating in your life, because isolation is not the goal, neither is comparison. You've heard me say this a lot, but food is never just fuel. It's about connection, tradition, comfort, culture. It is so intertwined into our life in so many different ways. But on top of that, for many women, it's also decades of messaging. You might have grown up hearing, I'm being bad today, or I can't eat that, or I'll start over on Monday. That's not on my diet. And when that language becomes normal at the dinner table, it quietly shapes how you see food and how you see yourself. Even if you logically know better, those phrases stick with us. And here's what makes it tricky. Diet culture is often disguised as health, discipline, or self control. So, if those are some things that you value, these are things that might stick with you that you think that you need to implement in your life as well. And you might feel like this is also how you should be approaching food. So, when everyone around you is talking about cutting out carbs or starting a cleanse or earning dessert, it can create this subtle tension. And you might start wondering, should I be doing that too? Am I not disciplined enough? And kind of questioning yourself. It's important to recognize that social pressure is real. We're wired for belonging, so of course it influences us. Let's talk about how to navigate this with family and close friends. Diet talk at the table is so common. I can't even tell you, well, my friends kind of know better by now, but I would so commonly hear comments with my friends, especially in college at dinners, about weight gain or being good or avoiding certain foods or, getting ready to start a new diet. And sometimes it's not even directed at you, but it still sticks. We absorb this and kind of internalize this information. But I want you to always remember other people's food rules are not your food rules. Do not project those rules onto yourself. Just because somebody else has a bad relationship with food doesn't mean you need to have the same approach. You don't have to argue or educate or debate with anybody, but you've got to also kind of protect your peace. You don't have to justify what you're doing compared to what somebody else is doing. And if somebody ever questions what you're eating, just try to keep it neutral. You might say, this feels good for me, or I am focusing on consistency right now, or working on having a healthier relationship with food. Or you might even say, I don't really see food that way. I also want to acknowledge the generational differences because many women before us were so immersed in diet culture. Thinness was so praised, which I know we're kind of seeing a little bit of that resurface now today, but we remember our moms in the 90s, or at least if you're around my age, I feel like 90s moms were really in the thick of this like thinness body ideal, and restriction was normalized. Weight comments were just part of casual conversation, even in media and TV shows. We can have compassion for that. And if certain conversations constantly affect you, it's okay to start to set gentle boundaries. You might say, can we not talk about your diet at dinner? Or I'm trying to think about food in a little bit of a different way, and I would appreciate if we didn't talk about food this way. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You just have to protect your peace and set those boundaries. Now I want to talk a little bit about social media. Your social media feed shapes your thoughts way more than you realize. We're constantly looking on our phones. If you're constantly seeing what I eat in a day videos or before and after photos or get your body back type of messaging, it can subtly shift your perception of what is normal. I want you to remember that social media is highly curated. You're seeing lighting and filters, strategic posing, and carefully chosen angles. And you're seeing just a snapshot, not the whole story. So if your feed leaves you feeling anxious about your body or second guessing what you're eating, I want you to start to filter through that. Maybe you're muting some accounts. Maybe we're setting boundaries around how much time that we're spending on social media. I want you to also focus on topics on social media that are not directly related to food, nutrition, and fitness. If you're listening to this podcast, understand that these are topics that you're probably very interested in, as am I. Obviously, it's my entire career and my life, but it is good to mix up our hobbies and our interests. And obviously, our algorithms are going to be feeding us with information that we are constantly seeking. And if we are viewing more of the what I eat in a day content, our algorithms are going to feed more of that to us. So we have to be so intentional about how much time we are spending on this type of content, and maybe we start to switch it up. I would encourage you, like, if you are into knitting, maybe we're looking at more videos about knitting. Maybe you're really interested in travel and we're trying to find content like that to bring more of that mix into our algorithm. Or maybe it's music. Maybe you have a few musical artists that you really love. I also love looking at those old, like, concert videos that are before my time, but it's really cool to see stuff like that. I follow a few accounts that I like. I just love when I see stuff like that come up on my feed. It is interesting. It's life-giving. Also, love videos of dogs. Send me all the videos of dogs. So, all of this to say, we're pretty much the only ones responsible for what our algorithm is feeding us. So, we have to be so careful with what we view and how much time we spend on that type of content. For many women, faith or spirituality also plays a role in how they think about food and discipline. Sometimes food can carry moral language like being good or tempted or disciplined or indulgent, but your worth is not tied to what you eat. I want you to also remember that we are living in a day and age where food is so much more accessible than it was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So we are dealing with different challenges today when it comes to having access to very highly palatable foods and having an abundance of food. It's a beautiful thing that we have access and that we are not faced, at least in the US, with famine and malnutrition for the most part. But this kind of changes the landscape of our eating habits in general. But please remember, your worth is not tied to what you eat. Eating dessert does not make you less disciplined, or skipping a workout does not make you lazy. These things are one-offs, and you're going to have days where we need to take a break. It can be a heavy mental load to constantly be worrying about what foods we're putting in our body. If nutrition is something that is important to you, we have to sometimes take a little bit of a mental break and maybe just not worry about it for a second and enjoy your food. This is normal. This isn't a reflection of you. It's not a character flaw if you eat something that isn't the most nutritious or skip a workout or gain weight. If you approach health through a faith-filled lens, I want you to consider this. Stewardship of your body includes nourishment. Fueling yourself well also allows you to think clearly, show up for your family, serve your community, and self-care is not selfish. Eating enough is not indulgent. It is a basic human need, and health should include flexibility. I also want to highlight that being too obsessed with food and nutrition isn't the healthiest either. We've got to make sure that we have this balanced approach. That is a part of living. You can maintain your value system while still having some of this flexibility. So, to wrap up, I want you to remember that you can prioritize your health and still enjoy your life. You can eat intentionally without isolating yourself, and you can set boundaries without being confrontational. You can also participate in culture without letting it dictate your relationship with food. At the end of the day, your nutrition choices should support your health, your goals, your values, and your life. This should be very unique and individual to you, and you don't have to copy somebody else's nutrition or diet rules. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with another person in your life that you think needs to hear it, because these conversations matter so much more than we think. And if you're still feeling stuck navigating food guilt, social pressure, or body image on your own, I offer one-on-one nutrition coaching specifically for women who want a sustainable, balanced approach. You can find the link to work with me in the show notes. Please make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next episode. I will see you next time.